Week 3, Quarter 4, Xenophobia, Multiculturalism and Social Justice. This week we are on Lesson 2, Xenophobia in the United States. Our weekly objective is this. This week we will analyze beliefs and speeches from different people in the USA so we can decide if America has a problem with xenophobia. We will know we have it when we can complete a listening guide and a reading with questions. Xenophobia is a fear or hatred of people from other countries. If you are xenophobic, you do not like immigrants. So as we can see, we have immigrants trying to enter the country. This hand is supposed to represent a native-born American person. They are preventing them from entering. If you are xenophobic, you do not want people to go from one country into the USA. Why is xenophobia bad? When a country has a culture that is xenophobic, the government is less likely to pass laws that permit many immigrants into this country. This is a problem because immigrants help the economy by adding jobs, new companies, and paying taxes. Immigrants bring new ideas and traditions to the dominant culture. Immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than native speakers, so they actually make the country safer. So if a country is xenophobic, they are missing out on all of these great things that immigrants could bring to a nation. Most immigrants just want to stay here and live a peaceful, safe life. Is xenophobia normal? Many countries experience xenophobia. Some have big problems with xenophobia, others do not. However, xenophobia is normally based on myths. Myths are common beliefs that are not true. One example is the belief that there is a monster that lives under your bed. Many kids believe this, but the fact is that there is really nothing there. So, for example, the fact is there is nothing under your bed. The myth is that there is a monster there. We know this is not true. But when we think about myths and immigration, there are myths that people believe about immigrants that are actually not true. And we need to find out what those are, and we need to find ways to encourage them to believe in facts. So you are going to read common myths that Americans have about immigrants. You will also read the truth about immigrants. You will read answer questions as well. You will read and answer questions as well. I made a typo in that. So if we were to go to your assignment, it's going to look like this. 4 myths about U.S. immigration that are wrong. You are going to read carefully. Look at the pictures to help you understand. For example, myth number 1. Most undocumented people enter into the country by crossing the border illegally. So I have a picture of the myth off to the right, but we have the fact, the truth underneath. Fact. Most undocumented immigrants don't enter illegally through the border. Most stay on a visa, so picture what I have here, a legal permit, too long after entering legally. They might not have the money or resources to get the correct new documents. So here we have a picture of a visa, and we have a little graph that shows what percent of those people that are here illegally, those people that are undocumented, how many of them are here illegally because they stayed too long on their visa on accident or because they did not have the resources to get the new papers. So if we look here, it starts at 29%, and now, the last number was given in 2014, but in 2014 it was 66% of them. Okay, so as you keep going, myth number 2. Immigrants are more likely to commit crimes and do drugs. So as you see here, we have a picture of drugs. We have somebody committing a crime of stealing. Fact. Most studies by college professors show that immigrants cause less crime. If there are more immigrants, there is less crime in the country. Also, white native-born Americans are more likely to do drugs than immigrants of other races. Myth. Undocumented immigrants put too much work on our education system. So here we have a stressed out teacher because he has so much work to do, but the fact is that there are many undocumented immigrants with a high education that enter into the United States already. Many undocumented students become the best in their grades and go on to colleges. Many people would agree that every person deserves an education. So this is to clarify, there are students that are undocumented that might need extra help because they didn't receive the proper education back in their home countries. That doesn't mean that they are going to put extra work on the education system. It does not mean that they are not capable of going on to great things. 4. Myth. Latin American immigrants in danger in their home countries could have come here legally as refugees or asylees. Okay, so now up here we have a chart of the difference between an asylee and a refugee. An asylum seeker is persecuted in their country of nationality, so their home country. Asylum seeker flees, meaning asylum seeker leaves their home country and applies for asylum within 1 year in a new country. So this means they go to a new country and they put in the paperwork to say, hey, can I stay here legally for 1 year? Then the process is that the application is approved by the new country and the asylee is now a legal permanent resident. The refugee, on the other hand, is very similar, but the process is a little bit different. So the refugees persecuted in their country of nationality, meaning their home country is not safe. Refugee flees country and lives in neutral country until recognized as a refugee by the United Nations. So they wait for a separate organization made up of many countries to say, okay, you are in a neutral country, you count as a refugee. The refugee resides in the neutral country. Then the UN sends refugees to a new host country for resettlement. And the refugee is flown to host country and resettled through federal authorities and subsidiary organizations as legal permanent residents, meaning the new country takes them in, says they are refugees, and they settle them in a place based on their needs. The fact is, to be a refugee or asylee means the government is giving you permission to stay because your home country is dangerous. Latin American immigrants are actually less likely to be given the title of refugee or asylee even when their countries are very dangerous. For example, El Salvador has many people who get murdered every day, but the United States government will only accept 3% of people from El Salvador as refugees or give them asylum. So now you have a series of questions you need to answer. Which of the following is true? Highlight the choice that is true. So you need to read each response, highlight in yellow like this. We'll just do a quick example. Which one you think is true for the first 3 questions. Then you come down here and answer the short answer question. Why do you think there are Americans that believe these myths? Finish the sentence in blue. I think there are Americans that believe these myths because blank. Tell me your reasoning. Okay? So after we analyze the myths and the facts, you are going to analyze a speech by Donald Trump. You will also listen to a speech given by President Donald Trump. You will decide if his speech is an example of xenophobia or not. After that, you will decide if America has a problem with xenophobia or not. So your other assignment is going to be this one here. You are going to click on the link
Need a professional website? I created one for our
We're gonna wait
startup
for this
using
commercial
Wix.
to be in.
Let me show you how I did.
Or to be over. Here we go.
Number one.
You're going to watch and listen for the words that go in these blanks. And then you are going to answer these questions down below. That's all we have for this week. If you have any questions, please email me, text me, or call me. You all have my phone number. You all have my email address. Thank you guys, and I look forward to seeing you at 11 o'clock today.